Recorded in Chicago, Illinois, with your hosts, Ken, Matt, Neil, and Jeff. This is Triviality. The cream of the crop!
Hello and welcome to Triviality, the show where a lack of seriousness meets a little bit of knowledge. My name is Matt. Will not be hosting today. We have a very special episode. It's TrivialMania IV. People really excited about the last few, demanded it coming back, and with WrestleMania coming up, we thought we'd bring it back. Joining me in the studio today is Neil. Neil, how's it going?
I'm doing all right. Excited for WrestleMania, and just hoping, fingers crossed, that a large, a temper tantrumed part-timer loses the title to Seth Rollins, who is one of my favorites. I'm wearing a Seth Rollins t-shirt right now. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping he burns it down and Brock Lesnar never comes back because he's a waste of time.
Yeah, big Seth Rollins fan here too. Also joining me, who doesn't care about wrestling at all, is Jeff. Jeff, how's it going?
Not too bad. Yeah, it turns out I just sort of hang out in the studio sometimes, and they're like, oh, we're recording a wrestling episode today. I was like, oh, I'll be on that. So
I will be there, so... All right, so I guess we could just get right into it. I will be playing as a contestant today. Playing against me will be Michael Turner from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. How's it going, Michael?
What is going on, gentlemen? I am very excited about this. I have been a wrestling fan since the late stages of 1990, so I feel like I've been training my whole life for this moment. This Eminem told me not to lose myself in the moment, but kind of feeling geeked.
Yeah, Michael Turner is a cruiserweight level supporter, so it's great for him to kick off the show today.
We've been exchanging emails for quite a long time. He's been raring to get on the card for Trivial Mania, and he was shooting some pretty big promos against all the other people, saying that he could knock him down. So he's here to claim his title.
Very true. Very true.
He also showed up, which was like 99% of it, so we do appreciate that.
Yeah, right.
And the person who wrote today's game is United States champion Greg Johnson. How's it doing, Greg?
It's going all right. It's funny because I was actually started to be a wrestling fan around the summer of 1991. So we are about the same level of crazy fandom.
Excellent.
I started watching. My cousin got me introduced to it, and it's life has not been the same. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I try to work in as many references as I can in other games, but it doesn't always play well. And, we kind of have the Macho Man thing, and sometimes we hear things like, I don't know if I want to listen to that show because of the wrestling thing. So we try to kind of play away from that. But this episode is all wrestling. Really excited to get going.
Yeah, Jeff, who's your favorite wrestler?
Oh, my favorite?
Since you're not
I asked you this on the last one.
Yeah.
Did you say John Cena?
No, I did not. I'm a fan of the Stone Cold Stunner, so I'll go Steve Austin.
Yeah,
Nice. Yeah, The Rock had a really nice Instagram post the other day about celebrating 316 Day and how he used to love taking a stunner from Stone Cold. Especially that one where, and I can't remember exactly, it was the video clip from it, but
yeah, where he bounces all over the place
with beer spitting out. Yeah,
which became like the official video game animation. Anytime anyone took a stunner after that.
Well, yeah, Greg, thank you for joining us and for writing this game. Greg reached out. He said he had a couple bonus games written, and we knew he was a huge wrestling fan from his time appearing on our bonus show Bloodsport, which is currently in development for season 2. But thank you again for being on that show and for playing a valiant tournament there and doing a great job. But we're really excited to have you hosting this game today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
All right. So the format will be 10 questions followed by a halftime question, then followed by another 10 questions, then a final, which will have multiple answers. So it'll cover, current wrestling. It'll also cover way back in the 60s, the 70s. Who knows? Basically, everything is fair game.
Okay.
Are there any jelly wrestling questions or Greco-Roman questions for Jeff?
There are some. No, sorry.
Some over-the-top arm wrestling. Why don't we go to the rules guy for that?
The rules of the game are simple. 20 questions split into 2 rounds worth 10 points apiece. At halftime, there'll be a special swing round designed by this week's host. After regulation, players will enter the final round with the points that they've accumulated and will have a chance to wager 0 to 30 points on 5 categorized questions. At the end of the game, someone will be named the cream of the crop.
I am the cream, yeah. The cream of the crop.
Well, it sounds like just like what Greg said.
Yeah,
Great.
pretty much what Greg said. That's right.
Except different.
Yeah, well, he's contractually obligated to appear in every episode, so...
Matt is going to be playing against Michael in his match here, in his championship match. We'll keep score over here so you guys can play, and then that should be good.
And Ken will be silently watching from the rafters.
Yeah, Ken, exactly. Ken is
named Ken.
He was suspended 60 days by Vince McMahon because he's too over. So, cool. Well, yeah, Greg, whenever you're ready, take it away, and Matt and Michael can go at it.
All right, so your first question. The very first episode of WCW Monday Nitro aired on TNT on September 4th, 1995, essentially beginning the Monday Night War. In which landmark location did this inaugural episode take place?
I'm locked in.
Also locked in.
Ooh, quick off the draw. Both you guys, real quick blows here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I guess we'll start with Matt.
Yeah, I believe this took place live from the Mall of America.
Absolutely. Featuring a promo for Hulk Hogan's Pasta Mania restaurant, the Mall of America in Minnesota.
And the correct answer is the Mall of America in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Pasta Mania. Man, did he ever do a local commercial for that?
There's a really good promo picture of him with like the big white hat, and he's
as the chef, and he's like promoing.
Yeah. It's good. It's good.
If you're gonna carbo load, brother. Yeah.
All right, so let's go on to question number 2. For every year since 1992, New Japan Pro Wrestling has had one of their biggest shows of the year on the same day of the calendar. Most recently, these shows have been called Wrestle Kingdom, essentially their equivalent of WWE's WrestleMania. On what month and date of the year is the show held?
Locked in.
Okay. I'm pretty sure that this is in January, and now I'm just kind of fighting with the day because I know a lot of times that it's the Kenny Omega, AJ Styles match of the year candidates were always like so early in the year, and because they usually took place at Wrestle Kingdom. So I'm pretty sure it's January, and I just said January 3rd.
Okay, January 3rd. All right. And Michael?
Oh, Matthew, you're so close. You're so close. It's January 4th.
The correct answer is January 4th.
Damn.
Oh,
That's close, though. So
was Jericho in Wrestle Kingdom this year with the clown makeup or no?
Yes.
yeah.
He was. Okay. Yeah, man. Ever since he left WWE this last time, he's really been over like crazy.
Him and Omega.
Wasn't it Naito, Greg, this year?
Yes, it was against Naito earlier this year, and it was against Omega last year.
Yeah.
Right.
Was this year's the one where he was like flying all over the place, like doing crazy stuff?
Both. He's really like, he's not showing his age in any respect. He's really picked up his work rate.
Yeah.
But of course, he only wrestles 2 or 3 times a year at this point.
Yeah, right.
He's on the Undertaker schedule now.
That's right.
All right, so let's go to question number 3. Let's go back to the 90s. I would consider September 22nd, 1997, as one of the biggest days during the Monday Night War era for 2 reasons. Over on Monday Night Raw, that was the night that Stone Cold Steve Austin stunned Vince McMahon for the first time. On the same night on WCW Nitro, which superstar made his debut against Hugh Morris, gaining his first of many victories?
Locked in.
It's funny because it's against Hugh Morris, but he hit him with I don't even know if he finished him with the jackhammer, but this is Bill Goldberg.
I 100% had Bill Goldberg.
The answer was Bill Goldberg. That's correct.
First of 197 in a row, or whatever number they made up. I believe.
That number was so crazy. They would literally come out on Nitro and like, oh, he's 67 and nothing, and the next week he'd be 85 and nothing.
It's like it was only
wrestled
7
three,
days.
3 times every night in a week.
Who is he wrestling?
Well, it's all those dark matches that they didn't televise. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, he's just wrestled for 12 hours straight.
Run a gauntlet at Boy Scout meetings.
I know they had 40 shows back then, but that's still a little ridiculous.
I was actually in attendance on the episode of Thunder where Goldberg very intelligently decided to use his bare forearm to bust open a limousine window.
Oh.
And I think he tore his arm up and he was out for
Yeah.
like 3 or 4 months.
It's a bad move. Don't do it, kids.
I was at the Thunder in Columbia when Buff Bagwell broke his neck on Rick Steiner's back.
Oh.
That was
Ooh.
not a pleasant show.
Speaking of Thunder, when we were in Vegas, Jeff tried to get tickets to the Thunder Down Under, but they were sold out.
Oh, my girlfriend would have loved that.
Next time, though. Next time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is a kind of a good transition. So Bill Goldberg is famous for, a long streak. Well, possibly the most famous streak in wrestling history is the run of 21 straight victories by The Undertaker at WrestleMania. The streak came to an end in 2014 when he lost to Brock Lesnar. But let's go back to the beginning. Who was The Undertaker's first opponent at WrestleMania?
I'm locked in.
I can remember some of the early ones. I don't think the first one was Giant Gonzalez, but that's who I'm picturing in the terrible, bodysuit.
You didn't love the furry bodysuit?
No, not a fan, because it goes way back. I can't remember, so I'm just gonna lock in with Giant Gonzalez.
All right, Giant Gonzalez. Okay, Michael.
I believe 1991 in the LA, not the Memorial. Was it the Memorial Coliseum? Because they were going to have it in the Olympic Stadium, and they had to move it because tickets weren't selling well at all. But anyway, that's not adamant to the question. The answer you're looking for is another rotten human being, Superfly Jimmy Snuka.
Oh, the murderer.
The correct answer is Superfly Jimmy Snuka.
Alleged.
I believe so. That was WrestleMania 7. I believe it was supposed to be it was like the Memorial Sports Coliseum. I can't remember.
Right, I can't remember the name of it either. Yeah.
So, but that was supposed to hold like about 100,000 people. But
Right.
that was around the same time that Sergeant Slaughter, who was playing the Iraqi sympathizer gimmick, he was getting death threats because he was playing that character. So they wanted to kind of prevent some kind of big incident of an outdoor stadium. So they hurried into the.
Well, that's sort of the kayfabe reason they gave for it. If you go back and read the Meltzer stuff, it's because they weren't selling tickets.
Yeah.
No one cared about that angle.
That's true.
I just looked
That's
it up too. Giant Gonzalez was WrestleMania 9, so I was off by a couple.
Yes. And then 8 was Jake the Snake Roberts, where he squashed him and sent him on his way to WCW.
Wow.
That's correct.
Where everything went well for him.
All right. Well, I guess this is another kind of transition. Superfly Jimmy Snuka was the first ever Eastern Championship Wrestling champion. Let's have this next question be about ECW. So ECW made its transition from Eastern Championship Wrestling to Extreme Championship Wrestling on August 27th, 1994, when ECW hosted a tournament to crown a new NWA World Champion. However, at the conclusion of the tournament, the winner threw down the NWA belt and considered himself to be the first Extreme Championship Wrestling champion. Who was this wrestler?
I'm locked in.
All right, and Michael?
In a classic promo, listed a number of NWA wrestlers and told them that they could all kiss his ass.
Yeah.
The franchise Shane Douglas.
And the correct answer is Shane Douglas. I should have had some more difficult questions here.
They're difficult for me.
This is great.
I'm right at that 50% mark. So
Yeah, those are good. I would have had some trouble here. I knew a few of these so far. Jeff, what's our little score update after 5 questions?
So after 5, if I've got my math correct, Matt's got a score of 30. And Michael has not missed a single one, so he's got a score of 50.
All right. I like it. So someone needs to come out with a kendo stick here.
yeah, I think that's where this comes down to.
Okay, next question. As of March 2019, So before WrestleMania weekend of the year 2019, who is the only superstar that has been inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame twice?
I'm locked in, Matt.
Okay. So this would definitely be somebody who is by themselves and then possibly as a tag team. I'm leaning.
That's what I was thinking, by the way.
Yeah, I'm leaning Shawn Michaels. I don't know if the Rockers were.
Jannetty, right?
Yeah, I'm leaning Jannetty. You're right.
Jannetty always looked to me like he belonged in a Journey cover band.
I think I'm gonna go with Bret Hart and say that the Hart Foundation is also in. So I'm gonna lock in with Bret Hart.
Okay, Bret Hart. And Michael?
I believe the Hart Foundation at one point were rumored to be going in this year. They are not in yet. Shawn Michaels would be a good guess if we were taping this after WrestleMania, because he will be inducted for the second time twice this year as a part of DX.
Oh yeah.
But the answer that you're looking for is woo! The Nature Boy Ric Flair, once by himself and once as a part of the Four Horsemen.
That is the correct answer. Yes, Ric Flair is by himself in 2008, and then part of the Four Horsemen, I believe it was in 2011.
Was it all the horse? Like how many of the horsemen are? So is like Mongo technically in the Hall of Fame?
No, I think it was. I don't want to say the main
like the
version
Arn
because
Tully.
it included Barry Windham,
Okay.
but I believe it was Arn, Barry, Tully, JJ, Flair.
Yeah,
That's correct. It was those five. Yeah.
no Benoit, or
None of
Who?
that's right. Sorry, wiped from the records.
Jeff guessed Ric Flair here in the studio, so he gets some brownie points.
Very good.
Job, Jeff.
Very
It's
good.
catching up to me.
As a note, Michael mentioned that Shawn Michaels will join that club after the 2019 Hall of Fame ceremony, and so will Booker T, because Booker T is inducted individually now, and Harlem Heat will get inducted.
Love the Harlem Heat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited about that.
All right. Since we've been talking about some people that have had some WCW experience, let's go to WCW. On a spring 2000 episode of Thunder,
Oh God.
which actor scored a pinfall in a tag team match to win the WCW World Heavyweight Championship?
I'm locked in.
Yes, former WCW champion, as he's often billed. He's actually a legitimate wrestler now. It's David Arquette.
Okay, and Michael?
As much as I love the wrestling profession, I hesitate to put legitimate professional wrestler on his
He's
title. I mean, he
getting booked in
he does do it on multiple occasions now. He's working on it. But yeah, the answer is former Mr. Courtney Cox, David Arquette.
Correct answer is David Arquette. I believe he pinned Eric Bischoff, even though Diamond Dallas Page was the champion.
Yeah,
at the time.
WCW 2000. Anything goes. This was a weird time. This was the Judy Bagwell on a pole match era of WCW.
Oh, my favorite's the Viagra on a pole match. Listen for that question coming to your podcast soon.
All right.
Did you see that indie match that Arquette had where he got it was like an extreme match?
Yeah,
With Nick Gage.
He
Yeah.
did the death match.
Yeah, and everything was going fine, but then when he got hit in the head with the fluorescent light ball, you could tell he was done.
Yeah.
And Nick Cage had break character.
Yeah.
That sucked. he probably it was bad. He did way too much to his body in that one.
I could pretty much watch any kind of wrestling, but even that kind of turned me off a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
50-year-old guys doing death matches. If you're not Terry Funk, I would suggest not doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I respect what they're doing, but it's also like your sportsmanship and your theatricality is enough for me. You don't have to almost kill yourself. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the older I get in my viewership, the less and less I want to have to do with deathmatch wrestling.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess we could do another kind of transition. David Arquette, one of his quote-unquote major movies was when he was in Ready to Rumble. Well, there was another wrestler that made an appearance in a movie. We'll talk about him. So in addition to competing in the ring and making appearances in movies such as Ready to Rumble and Spider-Man, Macho Man Randy Savage is also known for being a spokesperson for what snack food?
I got you for 3 minutes.
We gave these out at a live event if people attended. So
I'm locked in, Matt. You can go ahead and talk.
Yeah, it's going to be Tortino's Pizza Roll. No, it's snap into a Slim Jim.
The saltiest of all the snacks. Snap into a Slim Jim.
The answer is Slim Jim.
Bonesaw is ready.
Classic line.
So
I needed him more in that movie.
I know he should have just been in the whole movie in Spider-Man we're talking about, where and then maybe he just like trained Spider-Man as like his Obi-Wan. Just listening to them talk like, you gotta shoot the webs. Like it'd just be great.
Maybe we could have saved Toby from being so emo in Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I don't know what Macho Man was using a lot of black hair dye towards the end of his run. So
I think he borrowed it from him.
yeah.
All right, I think this might be the question that may break the streak of correct answers here. Well, this one's a little tough. So John Cena's first WrestleMania win happened in 2004 when he defeated the Big Show for the United States Championship. However, his first appearance on the WrestleMania Grand Stage happened 1 year earlier. During the pre-show on Sunday Night Heat, Cena had basically a phony rap battle with cardboard cutouts of which two hip-hop artists?
Oh my God!
Is this the professor of thugonomics?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this would be right after he started that gimmick, because he started the gimmick on Halloween. Yes, when he dressed up as Vanilla Ice, and Stephanie thought it was great.
I will tentatively go ahead and lock in so Matt can talk.
Okay. So I'm trying to think of guys that the WWE would feel confident using that people know. And I don't want to say Snoop, because Snoop shows up pretty shortly after that.
He's a big fan too.
Yeah.
And his cousin is the boss.
Yeah. Legit boss.
Legit boss.
Uh-huh. I think Eminem is one. And then it would have to be somebody else who's got big name. So I'm going to say in 2003, it's Eminem and Puff Daddy.
Okay, Eminem and Puff Daddy. All right. Michael?
So this was a show that I was sort of not watching the TV very much at that point. I was big into Ring of Honor at that point, so I wasn't really paying attention to what was going on in WWE. I remember I ordered WrestleMania on like a whim at like 30 minutes before the show. But I remember this taking place, but yeah, it's vague. I went with Eminem as one of mine, and I said Jay-Z for the other.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay. All right, so Eminem and Jay-Z. So I guess the first target of Cena's, attacks during his freestyle was indeed Sean Carter, Jay-Z.
Mm-hmm.
But he only went after him a little bit, just a couple of lines. His main target was Fabulous.
Oh.
Because
Oh.
I actually think that Fabulous was very close to signing on to appearing at WrestleMania to do a battle with Cena, but I think at the last minute he dropped out. There are rumors are saying that he did that because he had gotten into some legal trouble, but who knows?
Oh, that was the era of Fabulous, if I recall correctly.
So no points to either team on that one.
No points.
Plus, there was no time for Fabulous with all the rap that Limp Bizkit was providing for that show.
Oh God,
that's right. I mean, what you have Limp Bizkit and why bother anybody else?
It's just too much.
My favorite thing is when they have like the song of the event, like by a specific artist, and sometimes it's like people you've never heard of, but then like Flo Rida's done like 3 of them, I think.
Yeah, Flo Rida and Wale, because Wale loves wrestling.
Yeah, just I always love that because it's like you're at WrestleMania and they're like, and now introducing, and it's like some random person, and everyone's like kind of cheering, but not really. They just want to see the matches.
No one's there for music.
Yeah, right.
I was at WrestleMania 29 in New York, New Jersey, and I think it was Diddy.
That was the Diddy one.
Yeah. I mean, it was okay.
And he took it way back, though. He was playing old stuff. It was good. I was a fan of that.
All right, so the next question. Stone Cold Steve Austin made his debut in the WWE in January of 1996 after stints in WCW and ECW. He was originally billed as the Ringmaster, managed by which former superstar?
I'm locked in, Matt.
I believe he was actually the $1 Million Champion. He was managed by the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
All right, Ted DiBiase. All right, and Michael?
$1 Million Man.
That is correct. $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
Is that when he had long blonde hair, Stone Cold?
No, he was completely buzz cut at that point, but not shaved yet.
Yeah, he had the blonde hair when he was with the Hollywood Blondes in WCW
Yes.
with Brian Pillman.
Okay. Was his name Steve Austin or was it a different name?
It was Steve Austin. His real name's Steve Williams, I believe, which is the name of another wrestler,
Yes.
Correct.
Dr. Death, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he had to change it.
Hmm.
There's a really good some kind of documentary on the network that talks all about like how him getting into the business. It's really interesting.
There's a great question where I think they teamed up. Dr. Death, Steve Williams, and Steve Austin teamed up at Halloween Havoc '92 for WCW, and it's the only time a wrestler with the same name ever teamed up in the same match.
That's funny. Well, before we get to Greg, let's do a little score update from Jeff.
Yep. So if my math is correct, I think Matt has 60 points following the first round, and Mike, only missing one, has 90 points. So still anybody's game, but Mike's got a little bit of a lead.
Before we get back to the game, after that score update, both Michael and Greg are Patreon supporters. So we just wanted to take a quick moment to let you guys know if you'd like to join us over at Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/trivialitypodcast. We have some new perks that will have launched right now by April 1st. So.
Yeah, we just unveiled a bunch of additions to our previous existing platform. So everything that was there that was great got better. And so if you've thought about supporting the show before, there's no better time than now to check us out. So
cool new bonus episodes and Ask Me Anythings and just us being weird on audio.
Yeah,
a bunch of great giveaways and little secret insider stuff. Stuff that appears in episodes, but you get a little bit more behind the scenes content there on Patreon as well. So.
Yeah, and in wrestling terms, we went back down to developmental, worked on our character, our promos, came back up better than ever.
Yeah.
If you're at a United States champion level, you get a great signed poster, one of 3 limited edition designs. At the Intercontinental champion level, you get a personalized choose your own character loot crate sort of package from one of us. You choose one of the hosts and things that they like that you also like, you get sent in a package, and some other things that we're working on and excited about. So come join us over at Patreon at patreon.com/trivialitypodcast to join all the wonderful people like Greg and Michael who are supporting the show and helping us continue to get better.
All right, so we are at the swing round now, and the theme is wrestling isn't real. I know. Sorry, breaking the news.
All right, Rhonda.
So what I will do...
So it's fixed like boxing?
Yes, exactly.
Now, predetermined.
So I have a list of 5 real names, and I want you to tell me the wrestler's wrestling name.
Okay.
All right, so number 1, Sylvester Ritter. That's Ritter for the last night. Number 2, Steve Borden. That's Borden. Number 3, Leon White. Number 4, Nicholas Nemeth. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's Nemeth. And then the last one, Amy Dumas.
I know that last one. And we're just going to count these as 10 points apiece since there's only 5.
I'm locked in, Matt.
Okay, I'm also locked in.
All right. So what we can do is we can just do one at a time and just go with. I'll give a name and you give your answers and I'll say the correct answer.
Works for me.
All right. So let's start with Sylvester Ritter. Matt, what did you say?
This one I had no idea, so I just went with the fakest name I could think of and said Enzo Amore.
And Michael?
This was RIP to legendary African-American wrestler, the Junkyard Dog.
Well, I couldn't have been more wrong.
That is correct. It is the Junkyard Dog, or was the Junkyard Dog. And the thing is, I didn't really know his name until once you get the news about his passing, you hear it more often. All right, the second one, Steve Borden. All right, let's start with Michael.
This is a man called Ken, as referenced in the beginning of the show. No, it's a man called Sting.
Okay, and Matt?
It's the vigilante Sting. He was never called that.
It is indeed Sting. All right. Number 3, Leon White. And let's start with Matt.
This one I didn't know. I'd base this entirely on them calling him Paul White when he was debuting, but I thought maybe it's the Big Show.
Okay. And Michael?
It's time. It's Leon White time. Doesn't have the same ring to it. It's Vader.
I knew that name.
It is Vader or Big Van Vader, whichever way you want to refer to him. All right. And Nicholas Nemeth. Michael?
This is Nikki from the Spirit Squad, aka Dolph Ziggler.
Okay. And Matt?
Yeah, I only know this because he recently changed his name back to this on Twitter because he's always on the verge of leaving WWE, but now this time he's serious. Maybe, LOL. Who knows? I said Dolph Ziggler.
Correct answer is Dolph Ziggler.
He's doing a lot of stand-up.
Yeah.
Different places you can catch him.
It's not bad.
Yeah, he's funny.
Yeah, no, he's pretty funny. He's actually, if I remember correctly, the movie Trainwreck with Amy Schumer. John Cena plays her boyfriend, who's like too athletic for her, and that's based on Dolph Ziggler, who she dated.
Correct. Yeah. She, not to get too personal with it, but yeah, she said he was way too much for her in the bedroom.
Yeah, I remember that. It's a funny bit that she talks about.
He's quite the show off, is what I heard.
Yeah.
All right. And finally, Amy Dumas. And we'll go with Matt.
This is Lita.
All right. And Michael?
Yes, Lita.
That's correct. It is Lita.
She's awesome. I love Lita.
All right, so coming out of the swing round, Michael takes an additional 50 points to add to his score to make it 140, and Matt adds another 30, bringing him up to 90. So lead hasn't changed, but the gap's grown a little bit, unfortunately,
Just
for Matt.
a little bit. That's okay.
Still within striking distance.
Yeah. I got a few tricks up my sleeve.
You know, you can get better reach if you got a chair in hand.
All right. So the next question. As a member of D-Generation X, the Corporation, and Evolution, Triple H has had a very successful wrestling career leading into a successful career as an executive. What do the 3 H's stand for?
I'm locked in, Matt.
Yes. I always just let you lock in first because I assume that you're going to. This is when he first started. He was the Blue Blood, Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Correct answer is Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
I love in any of the behind-the-scenes stuff that you watch on the network, if you have WWE Network, it's always very fascinating, the documentary crews and whatnot, but when they would do, NXT videos, like developmental or whatever, you'd have, one wrestler who maybe he's mentoring, and they'll go, oh, like Hunter came over, and Hunter said this, and then someone else will go, yeah, Paul told me this. And so he gets called like Paul, his real name, or Hunter by like multiple people, and that just that would drive me insane. Like, because every time you hear Paul, you got to turn around, and then it's like, oh no, that's for Paul Heyman. But I don't know, it's just funny that they have to deal with that.
All right, the next question. My favorite wrestling night of the year is almost always the Royal Rumble pay-per-view featuring the Royal Rumble match. Which WWE Hall of Famer and first ever Intercontinental Champion is credited for thinking of the Royal Rumble match concept?
I know the most famous Intercontinental Champion or longest reigning was Honky Tonk Man, but I don't feel like he can come up with any kind of thing.
I'm locked in.
He's not the smartest guy. No offense. I'm gonna lock him with Bruno Sammartino.
Okay, Bruno Sammartino. And Michael?
One of Vince's right-hand men and one of the Stooges in the Attitude Era. This is Pat Patterson.
And the correct answer is Pat Patterson. All right, the next question. The WWE's first definition of the Triple Crown Championship is when someone wins the WWE or WWF Championship, the Intercontinental Championship, and the Tag Team Championship all at least once in a career. Bret the Hitman Hart was the second wrestler to achieve this feat, but who was the first?
I'm gonna lock in.
Ooh, Matt's the first to lock in on this question.
Oh, let's see. Okay, so Bret was the second to do it. Bret won his first WWF title in September, October of 1992. So it's sometime before then. Hogan never won a tag title. Ultimate Warrior never won a tag title. Or at least not in that time period. Mr. Perfect never won a world title. Ugh. I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say it was Pedro Morales.
Okay, your guess is Pedro Morales. All right. And Matt?
So I'm kind of not 100% sure. I don't know if the Mega Powers, they never won the tag team title, and that's where I'm getting thrown off. But I put Randy Savage.
All right, you said Randy Savage. So the correct answer is the recently departed, I think about a month ago, Pedro Morales.
Oh wow.
Great poll. Great poll.
Good job.
Thank you. I vaguely just remember hearing that somewhere.
Yeah, I think so. Pedro was the first one to do it. Bret Hart was the first one to do it twice,
Mm-hmm.
and I think Diesel was the first one to win all 3 titles in a 12-month period.
Do they even consider? What do they consider? It's just like any secondary, right? Basically, is how they define it now. The World Championship.
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe so.
So there's probably like a million guys.
When they had the European Championship, they considered that a Grand Slam, I think.
Yeah.
And now, yeah, it's pretty much.
And there's only a few of those then,
title.
because I think like Eddie Guerrero is one of the only, and maybe Jericho.
I know Shawn Michaels has won.
Yeah.
Is a Grand Slam champion.
Mhm.
Right.
First.
Gotcha.
Well, The Miz now too, right? I mean, he won with Shane, and he's been Intercontinental and champion.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, there's so many titles. It's
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, everyone gets a
difficult
turn.
to keep up.
Oh,
with, yeah.
Oprah's running WWE. You get a title, and you get a title.
All right, the next question. Let's talk about the Survivor Series. The Survivor Series pay-per-view has been home to many famous debuts in WWE history, including The Undertaker in 1990, The Rock in 1996, and The Shield in 2012. Which wrestler made his debut at the 1999 Survivor Series, defeating Shawn Stasiak?
I'm locked in, Matt.
Okay. I think that this was in his hometown of Pittsburgh. I'm pretty sure that this is Kurt Angle.
Hey, Kurt Angle. All right, and Michael?
Good pull, Matt. It is indeed your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle is correct.
All right.
They're saying this is his last rodeo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's going to do his retirement match this year at WrestleMania.
All right, let's go to the next question. Appearing as a member of D-Generation X and as a member of the NWO, which wrestler appeared on an episode of WCW Nitro and WWF Raw on the same night, November 17th, 1997?
All right. So you lock in so I can think about this because I know
Okay,
it.
I got it. I'm locked in, Matt.
It was a manager, but it's not. Oh, I got it. It's Rick Rude.
Okay, Matt says Rick Rude. And Michael, what do you say?
One of my all-time favorites. If I could have a moment of your attention, take my robe off, show these ladies what a real man looks like. It's ravishing Rick Rude.
The correct answer is Rick Rude.
Who is?
So
He's not going
Raw-
into the Hall of Fame with them, right?
No, and that's a crying shame.
Yeah.
I used to love watching him perform, and then any GIF that you see of him now, it's just so much body oil.
Yeah.
It's insane.
So much permed hair.
Yes.
So Monday Night Raw was a taped episode that week. I think it taped the Monday before, and Rick Rude was still part of the WWF. I believe at that point, Rude had a full beard, and then by the time that episode aired on Monday and Rude appeared on Nitro, which was live, Rude had shaven. So it was interesting because he made his appearance on Nitro clean shaven first, and then he appears on the taped episode of Raw with the beard. So
That's how manly he is, though. He can just immediately grow a beard.
All right, the next question. It's wrestling, but it's music related. Which singer performed America the Beautiful at 2 separate WrestleManias, both taking place in the same U.S. state?
That's a good one.
That was a great one.
God, I always fast forward through these. I don't know, so I'm going to lock in with something.
I'm ashamed to say I'm kind of like Matt. I just don't remember a lot of these. I remember Reba McEntire at WrestleMania 8. I remember Aretha Franklin, obviously, WrestleMania 3, I think that was. I want to say Gladys Knight did one of them.
Uh,
Was that with or without the pips?
There were no pips.
They were on the undercard. Dark match.
They played the Undertaker's Druids that year.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess Aretha Franklin. Maybe she came back and did WrestleMania 23 when they were back in Michigan again, but I don't think that's right. But that's the best guess I got.
Okay, Michael says Aretha Franklin, and Matt.
I picked a lady that likes to sing, and she sings it at all the other events, so I just said Lillian Garcia.
Okay, Lillian Garcia. All right, so in 1987, she performed at the Pontiac Silverdome for America the Beautiful for WrestleMania 3, and then 20 years later at Ford Field, she performed America the Beautiful for WrestleMania 23. The answer is Aretha Franklin.
Wow.
Woo!
That was going to be my guess, too. I don't know why I just saw her twice in my head, and I couldn't remember if it was a football game or not, but I was like, that would be my go-to.
That makes sense.
I believe she may have also performed either the national anthem or America the Beautiful at the Super Bowl the year before the WrestleMania 23, because that was also at Ford Field.
At Ford Field, right.
They never did that again.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. Well, let's stick with the music theme. The next question. Triple H's theme music has gone through some changes over the years. When he first went solo from D-Generation X, his initial theme was My Time. It was performed by the DX band, but just, not a DX song. But it seems like his most famous theme is The Game, performed by what English rock band?
I can lock in, Matt.
Yeah. I guess they're friends, Triple H and Lemmy, from what I heard, but it's Motorhead.
Yes, Lemmy Kilmister was one of Triple H's good friends until his untimely passing.
Yeah.
Very sad, but yes, that's Motorhead.
Correct answer is Motorhead.
I loved My Time. I thought that was a great theme. I remember watching those early SmackDowns because he came out 7 times an episode. So you heard it all the time.
If you played the N64
no
WWF
mercy.
games, that got so annoying.
All right, so this next question, there's quite a bit to this question, so hopefully it's not too much. There are only 2 wrestlers that have won all 3 of the following: a Money in the Bank ladder match, a King of the Ring tournament, and a Royal Rumble match. The first one to do so was Edge in 2005, 2001, and 2010, respectively. Who is the other?
Wow. Okay.
The King of the Ring's a hard one because it went away forever, and then they brought it back, but nobody cared about it. I'm gonna lock in.
All right, so this is a tough one, Craig. This is a hard pull. I've recently researched a bunch of Royal Rumble stuff, so I know the winners of those pretty fairly. It's the Money in the Bank that kind of mucks it up a little bit for me, because obviously Stone Cold's won both the King of the Ring and the Royal Rumble, but he wasn't around for the Money in the Bank days. I am going to guess that they maybe had a side King of the Ring that they brought back. I'm going to guess Alberto Del Rio.
Okay, Alberto Del Rio. All right, and Matt?
I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure this guy won a Royal Rumble, and I know he won a Money in the Bank. So I said Sheamus.
Okay, you said Sheamus. So in 2015, this person won the Money in the Bank ladder match. In 2010, this person won the King of the Ring tournament. And in 2012, Sheamus won the Royal Rumble match.
Right.
Nice.
So
Well
that's Sheamus.
done, Matt.
Good job, Matt.
Yeah, that 2010. You don't think of Sheamus as going that far back, but he's been around for a long time now.
Triple H loves Sheamus.
Yeah.
I mean, he got a huge push for many, many years.
Yeah, because they were workout buddies.
All right, so let's talk about Ring of Honor.
All right.
Ring of Honor is an American wrestling promotion founded in the Northeast. I believe it was founded in Philadelphia. I know their headquarters right now is in Baltimore, Maryland. That's not relevant to the question, but which current WWE superstar has the longest single reign of the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship in history?
I can lock in, Matt.
I think I was at a couple of title defenses, either against Punk or Danielson, but I'm pretty sure this is the Joe's Gonna Kill You era of Samoa Joe.
Okay, Samoa Joe. And Michael?
Yes. March 2003 to December 2004, Samoa Joe is indeed going to kill you.
And the correct answer is Samoa Joe.
I got a really big sweaty hug from Joe after a Ring of Honor event. It was awkward and amazing at the same time.
I believe Jay Lethal's combined reigns recently passed Joe's one reign, maybe a month or so ago. But yeah, Joe has the single longest reign.
The Black Machismo, Jay Lethal.
Was that during the same time as Kevin Steen?
No, way before.
Way before?
Yeah. Kevin Steen did not have a tryout match with ROH until 2005, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Early Ring of Honor was pretty great. It had a lot of.
It's fantastic. Yeah.
A lot of Christopher Daniels, a lot of low key.
Punk was there, right?
Punk was there
Yes.
2004, and then he went to TNA for a little bit. So.
All right, I think we're at the final regular question.
Mm-hmm.
So, including the most recent WrestleMania in 2018 and likely the upcoming one in 2019, there has only been one WrestleMania main event that has only featured wrestlers using their real names. Who was in that match?
Wow.
You said there's one main event,
Right.
and you're talking last match main event, not like one of those like seventh to the final, like a special main event, right?
That's correct. So the last match of the night.
Okay.
Greg bringing the heat on the final question.
Was Mr. T his real name? No.
His mama named him that. Clearly. Okay, I can lock in.
Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar match, but I don't know if that was the main event. And then I'm thinking maybe it was the Eddie Guerrero, Brock Lesnar. I don't think that was. Maybe 2004 was Benoit and Triple H. That's not his real. But so, God, I think it's in that few years, but I can't remember. So I'm just gonna say Eddie Guerrero and Brock Lesnar.
Okay, so Eddie Guerrero and Brock Lesnar. And Michael?
Yeah, this was very tough for me. Because the newer stuff just kind of blends together to me. So I was trying to even remember what some of those main events were.
Yeah.
So then I kind of worked my way backwards. Is The Rock not his real name? I get confused about that. But I eventually worked my way back to WrestleMania 19 and Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar.
That's what it was.
So at WrestleMania 19, there were some big matches like The Rock versus Stone Cold and Hulk Hogan versus Vince McMahon. But the main event of that show was Brock Edward Lesnar against Kurt Steven Angle.
Oh, I
So
said
it's
it.
Brock-
Damn it.
I thought maybe John Cena would have been a window in there because that's his real name, but I didn't even think about Kurt Angle.
That's the match where Brock tries to do the shooting star press and almost kills himself.
Yes.
He lands
that's
like
correct.
directly on his neck, and it's gross.
Oh no!
Not as gross as Sid Vicious's leg when that.
Oh, why'd you have to bring that up?
Because it's a wrestling episode, and I have to bring it up.
That's horrifying.
Jeff, what are we looking at for score before our final question from Greg?
If I've done my math correctly, I believe Matt added 60 points in that round, going to 150. And Michael adds another 80, going to 220, going into the final round.
Before we go to Greg, I just wanted to mention to join us all over at The Crop on Facebook. It's our private Facebook group where you can see a lot of different announcements, official threads for each episode to talk about all the craziness that we got into during the episodes, and any extra content like questions of the day, and as we always say, lots of GIFs in reply form. So join us over at Facebook at The Crop. Just request to join. We'll throw you in the mix, and we're almost at 500 there, so we're pretty excited about that.
Yeah, it's a fun group of people. So
yeah, everyone has fun, puts up their own questions, experiences from the show, and makes fun of us, was what we enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And then Matt, you were still trying to get some reviews for the show.
Just head on over to iTunes, give us a review. Like our friend Brack29 says that we're just four bros hanging out, joking around, talking trivia, and asking great questions. What's not to like? What's not to like?
I haven't found anything yet.
Yes. Well, thank you, Brack2, and thanks to everybody else who gives us reviews. It really helps us in the algorithms when people search trivia that we pop up right away, because people are lazy and they're not going to scroll past one or two. So,
yeah, get us up on that top tier, and that's all we ask.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you for that. And before we get to the final question here from Greg, we're going to be doing it a little bit differently. So it sounds like the final question is going to have 5 possible answers. It's going to be worth 10 points apiece, but if you get it wrong, you're going to be losing 10 points. So, Greg, why don't you tell us what our question is today?
All right. So there are 7 wrestlers that have accomplished both the following feats: winning a Royal Rumble match and being the sole survivor in a Survivor Series elimination match. Name 5 of them.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and lock in.
Locked in.
All right, Michael, what did you say?
For my first pick, I went with the legend killer Randy Orton.
I did not have Randy Orton on mine. For my first one, I said John Cena.
I did not have John Cena.
Okay.
I had Roman Reigns.
All right. I did not have Roman Reigns. Interesting. For my second one, I said Triple H.
I did not have Triple H, so this will be interesting. I had Shawn Michaels.
Did not have Shawn Michaels. I had Ric Flair.
I also had Ric Flair.
All right. I had Edge.
I did not have Edge. I had as my 5th Hulk Hogan.
Okay. I did not have Hogan. I had Vince McMahon as my 5th.
2 interesting lists here. So what I would do is I'll just go chronologically to say who did it first.
Sure.
So this person did it actually twice, and I think 2 consecutive years. It is Hulk Hogan, Survivor Series sole survivor in 89 and 90, and then winning the Rumble in 90 and 91. The next one, the very next year, being the sole survivor in 1991 and winning the Rumble in 92, that is Ric Flair.
All right.
So nobody said the next one, a sole survivor in 1993, and then he was one of the winners in 1994. We're talking about Lex Luger.
Oh, wow.
And the very next one, nobody said, making his debut at the 1996 Royal Rumble and
I was going to do that.
1996 Survivor Series, I'm sorry, and being a sole survivor and then winning the Royal Rumble in 2000. We were talking about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
The Big Show won that one. Everyone knows it.
So with this one, this person also has done this twice, and he is close to doing it 3 times. The sole survivor in Survivor Series 2003, 2004, and 2005, winning the 2009 and 2017 Royal Rumbles. That is Randy Orton.
Oh, Orton.
Okay. And then the next one is a sole survivor in 2013 and winner of the 2015 Royal Rumble, the big dog Roman Reigns. And the last one. So in 2017, this wrestler won. It was the sole survivor in a Survivor Series match. And then in 2018, she won the Royal Rumble, and that was Asuka.
Wow. I wasn't ready for that question. That did not go well for me.
I think that the biggest surprise is that John Cena's not on the list for me. And Stone Cold Steve Austin isn't on the list either. He's actually only been in one Survivor Series match, and he was pinned by The Rock at the end.
Yeah, my question about The Rock was I knew he won that 96 match. I did not know he was the only one. I thought like his team won as well. I could not remember.
Yeah, I thought some Edgehead match or something he would have won, but you never know. So,
All right. So with the scoring there, the minus is offsetting the extra questions gotten right. Matt drops 30, going to 120, and it is cream of the crop, especially today's episode, right?
Yeah.
It would be Michael Turner with a score of 250 points.
The cream of the crop. Nobody does it better.
Turn me into Gilbert in the squash match.
Well done, Michael.
Thank you, gentlemen. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, special thank you to Greg.
Yeah, good questions, Greg. They kind of like went, all through current, old, kind of. It's good to see all that kind of stuff.
No, well, thank you for the opportunity. I always love talking about wrestling, so I find any opportunity to do that. So this is fun.
No, that was great. And maybe what we'll have to do for TrivialMania 5 at some point is maybe, Michael, you come on, you host the questions. Greg competes either against one of us or another listener, and we'll turn the tables.
I would love to do that. I have many questions up my sleeve.
We'll figure out
I'm down.
some kind of War Games type.
Well, yeah, thank you, first of all, to Michael for joining us and for being a Patreon supporter. Michael reached out, wanted to do a wrestling game. He came, he saw, he conquered, and we appreciate him being here. Special thank you to Greg Johnson for also being a Patreon supporter and writing this game and being on the show again. We always love having him here. And Matt, even though we're not victorious today, why don't you tell us a little bit about your hopes and dreams for next year's Trivial Mania?
Well, I think I'm going to, get back to the basics and just really, start working on my footwork and just, come up with some new stuff. John Cena went to China and came up with a new punch. If you've seen it.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
He has a new move of doom. He does some kind of like Haruken punch.
It's a backhand. It's awful.
It's really bad. So I think I'm going to go to China and come up with my own terrible move to add to my repertoire.
To come back. What about you, Jeff? Are you going to be a manager? Are you going to get in the ring? Are you going to, do anything?
No, I feel more like a manager. Yeah, I don't really get in the ring. So.
I could see.
He's my advocate.
He should be. I could see Jeff cutting a nice promo about how much the other the opponent doesn't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So all you other podcasts, we're coming for you. This is why I need a manager. Well, so again, thanks to Michael and Greg for joining us. Thanks to Jeff and Neil for joining me in the studio. That was Triviality.
I still, at some point in the span of this podcast, I want to do something like the Royal Rumble where there are 30 listeners and they each come down for one question as a team, or maybe more Survivor Series, and we just wait until people are eliminated. But
it sounds like a lot of logistical work.
It does. So once we figure out how to do that, then maybe it'll happen.
Or we get an intern.
Yeah, right.
Can't handle the Macho Man Randy Savage.